Hello everyone, I'm Peter. Welcome to our space for true stories. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. We will select the best comments to send to the original poster of the real Reddit story. We hope your insights help them overcome their challenges. Thank you for being part of our community. Please sit back and enjoy today's story. Am I the asshole for asking to go to an event my boyfriend's friends held and having a breakdown when they flat out refused? My boyfriend Steven 31M and I, 29F, have been dating for about a year. Steven and his sister Rowan 28F are friends with a couple, Lily 34F and Jared 36M, who they play D&D and board games with. Since dating Steven, I've met them a few times and joined in their dinners. Recently, they planned a game night and only invited Steven and Rowan. I work irregular hours, nights, schedule changes every couple of weeks, and only have one weekend day off a week, which is typically when Steven and I get to spend time together, and they scheduled for that night. It was fairly last minute, and I felt hurt and confused about not being invited because, in my experience, partners are usually included in social events, and I've always done the same for others. Also, I'm an avid gamer, TTRPGs, board games, etc. Steven and Rowan were thinking of taking my copy of a brand new game I'd bought recently to play with, but I don't know for sure that Lily and her husband knew it was my game. I told Steven how I felt, explaining that I was stressed from work, emergency response type role, and it was a rough week and didn't want to spend the night alone. He spoke with Lily, who said they only wanted the two siblings because it was a 4-person game. Steven then put me on the phone with Lily and pushed me to tell her about my mental health struggle and why I wanted to come even if I just watched, so I did, even though I'm an extremely private person and never allow vulnerability outside of close relationships. She said she sympathized but still refused and suggested I find other coping mechanisms, like using a weighted blanket, instead of relying on Steven for support. I ended the call feeling vulnerable and very upset and had a meltdown. ADHD, emotional overload, not a tantrum. I did not yell or demand anything afterward. I told Steven I didn't want to visit Lily and her husband again as I am obviously not welcome, but I encouraged him, without any passive aggressiveness, to go and enjoy himself. I didn't want to appear clingy and keep him from his friends even though I was struggling emotionally. With their explanations about wanting 4 people and that I'd be bored, I'm questioning whether I overreacted. I see them thinking he should have activities without me, and not knowing that he does. I've never asked him to cancel any plans for me before. This was not a common occurrence. I've been spiraling with all sorts of thoughts as to why they didn't want me, worried that they hate me or that they don't accept me as his girlfriend. I also wonder if my stress and ADHD rejection sensitivity influenced my reaction. Am I the asshole for asking to come, even though I wasn't invited, and then reacting so strongly to a refusal that I will not see them again? Answers to a few concerns and a bit more backstory. Steven lives with his sister Rowan, and they see each other all day because he works from home and she only works part-time, so I wasn't trying to take sibling time away. It was a board game night, not D&D. It wasn't something they do all the time, just a one-off, and they were going to play a board game I had recently bought with Rowan and Steven. Actually, they were going to take my copy, lol, and hadn't had a chance to play, so I at least wanted to watch to learn the rules and stuff. It is only for 4 players. I don't have my own separate friend group as I moved to this city for work, and the first few people I met were incredibly toxic, and it's been hard to make new friends with my job in weird hours. I also work with mostly men, so it's hard to just make friends and not have it misconstrued. I met Steven coincidentally at a local event where I was supposed to meet some coworkers, but then walked away from the group because of their wives/girlfriends giving me death glares. I didn't ask to go at first. I just wondered why I hadn't been invited and that I'd rather spend the time with him. Steven is a bit of a people pleaser, especially with his sister, and she was on Lily's side that, No, I don't need to be invited. This isn't the only event where she's involved that I've been excluded from. So anyway, he thought he could talk them into inviting me and then handed me the phone during that call. I don't think he realized the terrible position he put us both in. I was mortified because I'm the kind of person who will never push my company where it is not wanted and will back away at the slightest hint of that from anyone. My family is all like that, with my grandma making lifelong oaths to never set foot into houses where she ever felt unwanted and sticking to that till her dying breath. So I tried for Steven's sake, thinking he knows his friends better, and maybe this is a misunderstanding. Steven's previous serious girlfriend was a piece of work and an all-around awful person to be around, and I do think I've gotten a lot of backlash for that. I didn't understand why I was getting some weird energy in all my intro meetings with his circle, until some of his friends told me they were nervous about meeting me for the first time, but are so glad I'm a decent person and not like her. Maybe Lily and her husband have not accepted that yet. She even said one day she thinks I'll leave him after chewing him up because I'm out of his league, and I'm probably just playing with him. Update. Steven realized the toll it had on me, apologized, and said he would stay with me, but I told him to go. I assured him that I would deal with my feelings on my own, and I especially didn't want his sister to think anything bad about me since they are very close. I wanted to put the whole thing behind me, having come to the conclusion that I won't be friends with Lily and her spouse, but I don't want to ruin his friendship. Then he told me today that they set up the game, but then just got food and chatted and hung out all night, so I got a bit pissed off, but he was angry too, so I think he sees the situation better now as well. He says Lily was weird to act this way because he's never seen her be this cold or exclusive before, and she always talks about inclusivity and being welcoming, and she definitely has dealt with serious mental health issues before that they've helped her through and accommodated. But after reading everyone's comments, I do see her side of it. I can see how it might come across as me using my struggle to strong-arm and manipulate my way into an event at their house, but I only shared because of Steven's belief that she would be caring and understanding and helpful. I still think she was mean to exclude me like that, especially after the events of the night, but I see how it was a very bad experience for her too. Anyway, my boyfriend and I are going to work on our communication. I told him how the issue escalated because we didn't work it out between us, and that we should never have actively involved her. He understood. He's 31, but he's been living alone and having mostly short-term relationships, so he hasn't had a chance to learn to navigate these things. And his last serious girlfriend was a walking red flag. Yes, he might be neurodivergent too. Summary of what happened in the past. I can only think of one event that did it. It was a few months into our relationship and I'd met Rowan a few times. When her friend Claire visited from out of town, Steven was staying at my place, as I had some rare time off. I wanted to spend time with him, but he mentioned needing to go home because Claire was arriving. Although Claire wasn't his friend, Steven needed to be there for her due to his dog's discomfort with strangers. I suggested coming along and doing something together afterward, but he said Rowan and Claire might want to hang out, so I suggested making it a group outing. Steven became evasive, hinting that I may not be welcome. His entire manner became super suspicious, and I knew he was lying to me about something. I asked if there was anything I should know about his relationship with Claire. He said that wasn't it, that they had chatted online a little, and joked about banging when she visited if he was single, but he's not single, so of course that's not gonna happen. He said there was nothing between Claire and him, but Rowan might not appreciate me coming along, so he had to ask permission. He called Rowan, who said it was fine for me to join. After that, Steven's behavior returned to normal, and we went to his place and then out for dinner. The evening went well, and I enjoyed meeting Claire, who seemed friendly. After dinner, I noticed Claire looking tired and made a comment I thought was harmless. "Alwa, your expression reminds me of a grandmother who's happy to see her grandchildren but is very tired and wants to go to bed now." Claire was shocked and embarrassed, and Rowan gasped, saying, "OMG, that's savage." Everyone, including Claire, laughed, but I knew I'd said something wrong and apologized immediately. The next day, we went out thrifting, and Rowan stopped me in the parking lot with Stephen, saying my comment was inappropriate and made Claire cry for being called out for her tiredness. She told me to be more mindful of my words. I apologized repeatedly and asked to apologize to Claire again, but was told she didn't want to talk about it. Stephen supported Rowan's view, saying I needed to be more careful with my words. I spent the day being extra cautious and feeling ambushed. I now see a pattern of behavior stemming from this incident. I worry that this might be why Rowan wants to exclude me from things. From her perspective, I joined her on a fun weekend with her friend and brother and made her friend cry. But really? Was my comment about Claire so inappropriate that it required a confrontation in the parking lot and exclusion from future events?